I still wake up some nights hearing the mortars whistle in before they hit, that low scream cutting through the thin mountain air at 5:53 a.m. On October 3rd, 2009, like the valley itself was waking up angry. I was 38 then, a captain leading Bravo Troop 361 Cavalry at Combat Outpost Keating in Nuristan Province, Afghanistan, a godforsaken bowl carved into the Hindu Kush, where three valleys converged like fingers pointing straight at us from Pakistan. 53 of us Americans, a handful of Latvians, and some Afghan soldiers who barely spoke the same dialect, all crammed into a razor wire perimeter that sat at the bottom of a steep valley, with mountains rising straight up on three sides, giving the Taliban perfect high ground to rain hell from every direction. We knew it was indefensible. Hell, the whole chain of command knew it, but orders were to hold until the pullout plan kicked in later that year. We called it Keating, after Ben Keating, our executive officer who died in a rollover 2 years earlier. Ironic because the place felt like a death trap from day one. That morning, I was in the TOC checking reports when the first round landed in the mortar pit, killing specialist Kevin Thompson instantly, his body torn apart before he could even return fire. Within seconds, the radio lit up. "Enemy in the wire! Enemy in the wire!" 300 Taliban, maybe more, well-trained, coordinated, wearing stolen A&A uniforms to confuse us, swarmed down from the ridges like a black tide. RPGs slammed into the barracks, setting fires that would eventually burn 70% of the outpost to ash. The Afghan troops on the east wall bolted almost immediately, grabbing what they could and running, leaving us exposed. I grabbed my M4 and ran to the line, yelling for my men to hold positions, but the enemy was already breaching the latrine side and the main gate. Bullets snapped past my head like angry bees. I felt the heat of one graze my arm, but adrenaline kept me moving. Staff Sergeant Clinton Romesha, one of the best leaders I ever served with, rallied Red Platoon and pushed back, clearing buildings room by room while wounded, dragging a fallen soldier to cover under fire. He called in airstrikes that turned enemy positions into craters, his voice steady on the radio even as shrapnel pinged off his helmet. Specialist Ty Carter, out in the open with Sergeant Stephen Mace, refused to leave when Mace went down. Carter crawled through machine gun fire, bandaged him, then went back again and again carrying ammo, pulling wounded to safety, his uniform soaked in blood that wasn't all his. I watched from the TOC as the fires spread, the aid station threatened, and men I considered brothers fell one by one. Sergeant Justin Gallegos hit while trying to flank the enemy. Sergeant Christopher Griffin cut down near the motor pool. Sergeant Joshua Hart lost on the way down from OP Fritzsche with the quick reaction force. The valley echoed with screams, explosions, the chatter of AKs and our M240S answering back. We were outnumbered 6-1, low on ammo, the perimeter collapsing, but no one quit. I directed fire teams, coordinated Apaches that came in low and hot, rotors thumping like heartbeats, rockets streaking into the hills. A 10 Warthogs rolled in, their GAU-8 cannons shredding Taliban positions with that unmistakable brrr-t sound that still gives me chills. We held the line in pockets, shipping containers, burned-out Humvees, the last standing barracks, fighting hand-to-hand when they got too close. Hours blurred, mortars every 15 seconds for the first 3, then small arms fire non-stop. By noon, the outpost was an inferno. Smoke so thick you could barely see 10 feet. I lost count of how many times I thought this was it, but my men kept fighting. Sergeant Armando Avalos calling in precise airstrikes. Lieutenant Cason Schroed directing close air while wounded. We lost 8 that day. Thompson, Gallegos, Griffin, Hart, Kirk, Scusa, Martin, Mace. 27 wounded, some critically. The Taliban paid heavy, 150 to 200 dead, but the price for us was unbearable. When the QRF finally linked up at dusk, after fighting their own ambush on the mountain, the outpost was rubble. We evacuated under cover of darkness, leaving sensitive gear to be bombed by a B-1 later. I walked out last, looking back at the glowing embers, the bodies we couldn't take with us right away, The investigation came later. 4 officers reprimanded for inadequate support. The outpost deemed indefensible from the start. We got medals. 2 medals of honor for Romsha and Carter, silver stars, bronze stars with V, purple hearts by the dozen. But medals don't bring back the dead. I carried the guilt for years. The what ifs. What if we'd closed Keating sooner? What if I'd pushed harder for better defenses? What if I'd gotten to Mace faster? Nights now at 55, retired, sitting in my quiet house stateside, I still hear Mace's voice on the radio, weak but fighting. I'm hit.